Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, to every nook and cranny receiving signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter. Folks, we're going to have a great show. Good morning to the rest of the world who receives our signals via the magic of the internet. That thing formerly known as the ARPANET, and now controlled by the billionaires. We're going to have a great show for you today, my great people. But before we get started, of course, we have the great geniuses, los genios, in the studio. How are you doing, my dear brothers?
We are okay. Good morning, Egberto. It is Monday at the radio. December 23rd, 2 days away from Christmas, and I am all set for Christmas. Well, not really, because I hate Christmas anyway. I am the biggest Grinch there is. I hate it. I want it to go away.
Well,
anyway,
man, you're not. When you said you were ready for Christmas, you scared me, man. You still have 2 days, man.
I know. I'm a man. I'm supposed to do the last minute thing.
Okay.
It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA. We just delay everything until we absolutely have to do it, especially things we don't like.
Yes.
Anyway, procrastination is bliss.
It's what we do, man. Hey, I spent a good part of yesterday looking at the first term of Donald Trump.
Uh-oh.
You go to Wikipedia has it on there. And, you know, some of it you can take with a grain of salt, but Wikipedia is really actually pretty accurate. It was a very long article, and holy cow, are we in for some grifting, some theft, some stealing, all kinds of stuff. Do you know that he visited his properties 274 times during his administration?
Oh, yeah.
Of which the Secret Service was charged for the stay.
Yeah, because elevated prices.
Yes, the Secret Service. Yeah, inflated price. $650 per night at one of his hotels, where he had to keep the Secret Service. And you, my friends, paid the bill. Do you like that? This is just a little sample for what you're in for next. Jack, what you got, man? I'm going to get off my soapbox here.
I thought it was great. Okay. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am fine, my brother. Talk to me.
All right. Trump threatens to take back Panama Canal. Trump wants to buy Greenland. Trump vows to rename tallest mountain in the USA. I just hope he doesn't name it Trump Peak or Trump Mountain, something like that.
Barf.
Maybe we could have a contest to rename Denali. My suggestion is Stormy Mountain.
My suggestion is leave it alone. It doesn't need to be renamed. Yeah. Oh, Trump Peak. Wouldn't that be just the ultimate?
Pikes Peak, Trump's Peak.
Everywhere, Trump's Peak, yeah.
My uncle outfits up there on Denali during the winter. So,
wow.
He's familiar with it.
That is, you know, I think that is the highest mountain in the in Americas, right?
I think 20,320 feet, I think.
Yeah, that's way up there. That's several miles up in the sky, man. You know, like what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is great. But anyway, folks, we have a great show for you today, and I love the way Brother Jack started it, because, you know, I'm going to start it there. And you know why I'm going to start it there? Because guess where I'm from? I'm from Panama. And I know the tribulations that that Panama went through. In fact, a little secret. I think it was in 1828 or somewhere around there. Panama, I believe, got its independence from Spain. So it was an independent country for a while. And then it joined Gran Colombia, which was a conglomerate of different South American countries. And it it eventually became a part of Colombia, the actual country Colombia. And while there was Colombia, they were building this canal. The French was building the canal. De Lesseps was, I think, the guy sort of in charge, and they failed miserably. Why did they fail? Because building a sea level canal in Panama is not like building a sea level canal that this company did in the deserts in Saudi Arabia, where they built the Suez Canal, right? They just had to dig sand, open it up, and sea level between the Mediterranean and the Mediterranean Red Sea, I believe. But anyhow, well, America wanted to build a canal, and Colombia said, "No, señor, no vas a construir un canal aquí. You're not going to build a canal here." So they got a few rebels in the province of Panama, which was a part of Colombia, and I think I don't remember the president. I think it was Roosevelt put a battleship in front of my city called Colon, right? And said, "Okay, you are now an independent country, and we are going to sign a treaty of which no Panamanian signed. Of course, it was Bonavaria, the person who signed the. I'm taking this off the top of my head from my elementary school. So if I get a few little things wrong, it'll just be a little few tiny things wrong. But Bonavaria signs the treaty, the Panama United States Treaty for the Panama Canal, where it granted. I don't understand the language. It said 99 years in perpetuity. America got to get the canal, build this canal, and on both sides have 5 miles on either sides of the canal that they control. They ran the canal zone, which as they ran the canal zone as an apartheid state. I kid you not. The canal zone was an apartheid state within the state of Panama. But I tell you, no matter what, of course, Americans are there. Standard of living is higher. So Panamanians flock to work for the American governments, of which my dad was one of them as well. You know, it's like, hey, if you're working for Pan Canal, the Panama Canal Company, right, you make quite a bit more money and, all that good stuff. But still, the Panamanians living on the canal zone, they lived in substandard housing. We lived in substandard housing on the canal zone. So a lot of folks that lived on the canal zone, Panamanians that is, they also had homes what we call in the Republic, what means in Panama away from the canal zone, which we did as well. But the idea here being that we had America come to this created help the creation of this country, Panama, to build a canal to create an apartheid state within the country of Panama. Now, throughout between 1914 and 1970 something, there were riots upon riots upon riots because, again, we had this apartheid state within Panama. In fact, on the canal zone, the only flag flown for the longest time was the American flag. So here you are. Think about another country coming into Texas, take Austin, and say we are going to hold on to Austin in perpetuity. We're going to have a police force, a fire force, a judicial system, and not only that, we're going to prevent Texans, born Texans, from being able to go into the canals into Austin. We don't allow them into Austin unless by permission, unless they work there, etc. An apartheid state within Texas. That's how it was in Panama. Let me tell you a few truths, however. Like I said, we lived on the canal zone. And as a Panamanian living on the canal zone, I didn't realize a whole lot of this. I know that the Panamanians lived in one section while the Americans live in better homes and they had better things, etc. But the schools that we had while they were made of wood, right? And their schools, all of it was made of concrete. That's the standard building procedures. Our teachers, most of them Panamanian West Indians, were exceptional. And we fought and we fought and we fought to get equal rights on the Canal Zone. And I remember my class was the first class on the Canal Zone to graduate from the unified Canal Zone schools. In other words, we had an apartheid school system too. The Panamanians went to one school system, the Americans went to another school system. We got substandard books, substandard everything, except our teachers were excellent. And on the American side, they had the tools, the microscopes, and all these great things. And we wanted those things too. We worked for the Canal Zone. And we finally got it. My class, again, was the first full class to graduate out of that. And let me just tell you, I remember our teachers on the Canal Zone, the Panamanian teachers, grilled us and told us that we had to be an example because the reasons these folks, I remember them telling us, don't want us there is they think we can't compete. They think we are substandard. They think we speak funny. They think that we cannot do X, Y, and Z. And our first class in Cristobal High School, and the Panamanians came out with the first 14, I think it was the first 12 or 14 physicians. I don't remember exactly. This wasn't because the Panamanians were smarter. This was because the Panamanians had to be prepared and had something that they had to prove because they were treated as less than the other. That's what happened. They were treated that way. I want to break off from this little commentary a bit and say one thing. When you see somebody like Tiger Woods excel, when you see somebody like the NBA players excel, etc., 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 and you have what I called those who would want to say there's something genetic of these performances, etc. You know what made those performances? It's amazing the things that racism and prejudice can do because you have to work twice as hard than the majority population. It turns out naturally that you have to excel. But going back to so I mean, I want people to get that in the head. People are people. I remember my wife used to say that all the time. People are people, and she's right. We all have equal access. We all have equal access to knowledge. All have equal access to performance. What we don't generally have is an even playing field. We have a skewed playing field, and anytime we try to unskew that playing field, whether we use things like DEI or other things to say, let's correct the injustices of the past, something always rear its head to get rid of that necessity, that reality. Now, uh, we come to back to Panama. In 1964, we had these big riots. 1964. Then my old man worked for the Panamanian, not the Panamanian, the American Fire Department on the Canal Zone, but he lived in Colon. Okay, that meaning you cross over into the Canal Zone to work. When you're done working, you go back to live in in the city, in the country proper. And when they had the big riots in 19, I think it was 1964, my father participated in hosing people out to prevent them from really invading the Canal Zone because it was going to be bloodshed in the Canal Zone. And he was part of the Panamanian groups that on the fire department that actually helped maintain the peace. But that also put a bullseye on a lot of these guys because a lot of these guys were told don't come back to Colon because in effect you hosed us down to protect the peace. And that is the only way certain particular groups of folks actually got what they called quarters. I mean, it's amazing how they did this to live on the canal zone. So there's a whole lot of history in this little apartheid state created by the United States in Panama, and that bears mentioning. To solve this problem, Omar Torrijos Herrera, the person that the American government loves to call the dictator of Panama. By the way, before Omar Torrijos Herrera, we had plutocrat after plutocrat, oligarch after oligarch, some rich oligarchs that, Panamanians they were. We used to call them Rabi Blancos, that controlled all the sources of production in the country. Everybody else lived the substandard lives. These guys, the president of the country, each time that got elected, Arnulfo and all these other guys, they were sanctioned by the not sanctioned, but that's who the United States wanted as government. Finally, in 1970 something, I don't remember, like 76 or so, the overthrow occurred. The dictator not Manuel Noriega, Omar Torrijos Herrera took over the country and forced a treaty. Things were just getting out of hand, so forced a treaty that turned over the canal and the canal zone back to Panama to have full control, a sovereign state. Carter signed that treaty. It was called, I think, the Torrijos-Carter Treaty, that gave the canal to Panama and the corresponding military bases, because America built 14 military bases in Panama, as well as some other entities, the Gargas Hospital and these other things. I want to give you a little corollary here. America has a small, tiny base in Italy, and they were paying tens of millions of dollars for that base in Italy. They had multiply 10 miles by 50. They had approximately 500 square miles of a apartheid state they created in Panama. And for that, they gave Panama something like, I don't remember the number, don't quote me, but it's somewhere between 1.5 and 13 million bucks to rent, right? For that apartheid state, that's what they paid America every year. Paid Panama every year. Panama made nothing from the billions that's been made passing ships through the canal to save them from going through the southern tip of South America. They got very little, very little, very little. They got that too. But places like Italy and France, the spaces that America rent, they give away hundreds of millions of dollars. So that is the disrespect with which Panama has always been treated by the American government. It was an American corporation created by the American government to run the canal that had its own private apartheid government. Again, I have to admit, while I lived down there in Panama on the canal zone, I never was educated in politics to understand the political dynamics. You just existed. You understood this is how things work, and it wasn't, as far as you're concerned, it's neither bad or good. It's just the way it is. It's just as I matured, became older, a lot of things I would kind of hear my father say, I understood it now in a different light. And it's a shame that I didn't understand a lot of this till I moved to the United States, right? But I understood it. So after the December 31st, 1999, big day in Panama, at that point, all of Panama became a sovereign country. No more apartheid state in the center of Panama. And by the way, again, that apartheid state occupied the center of Panama for its entire 50-mile diameter, not diameter, but a punto to cross from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. There's a whole 10-mile gap that Panamanians have to cross if they want to go from one side of Panama to the other. I mean, like I said, a lot of times you don't understand the predicament you're in until you look at it from the outside. Now we come to today. There are a lot of issues with the canal right now. We have climate change. Panama has a big rainforest that normally collects all the water from the rain season, and they throw it into two big lakes, Gatun Lake and Madden Lake. And these lakes have been running pretty low because, again, climate change has brought less rain during the rainy season to Panama. And because of the way the canal functions, the canal is a very ingenious level of engineering because what it does is it creates a huge lake in the middle of the country, and it uses locks to pull water to bring the ships up to the lake level. The ship goes across the lake in the middle of Panama where it's mountainous, so they use big valleys in the lake they fill big valleys up with lakes, Gatun Lake, and they only had to dig a trench 8 miles long called the Culebra Cut. Used to be called Gaylord Cut, now Culebra Cut, and they cut through mountains for only 8 miles, whereas on if otherwise they would have had to cut 30, 40 miles of mountains if it weren't for bringing the ship up to the top of the mountain in that lake and move across. Now, after they did that, again, we have problems with rain last year and for the last several years. So if you believe, like America believe in, I don't, but America believes in this thing called capitalism. I call it's the biggest theft really on the labor and resources of the world. And I think that is easily proven if you want to be honest about it. But that's what America believes, and that's a standard of the Western world, including Panama. Now we have a shortage of water to pass the ships through the canal in high numbers. So, what happens when there are shortages? Whenever there are shortages, the price of the commodity or the price of the service goes up. So less ships can pass through the canal while we had water problems. Because again, the lakes are not peak full, etc. So you can only pass X amount of ships now. So the prices naturally go up for the lesser amount of ships that can have access to this Panama Canal. Trump doesn't like that. Trump wants all other countries to disregard what America asks of its own. Trump wants the other countries to simply absorb the cost that America would never absorb. And because the rates to pass through the canal has gone up while this shortage occurs, and because it is likely to go up the next year because of inflation, and to mitigate and to create other resources to maybe not have this water shortage as bad the next time around, Donald Trump is threatening to go into Panama and take back the canal. That's what he says. Take back the canal. In other words, disregard the treaty. Disregard the Torrijos-Carter Treaty that returned the land and the canal to Panama. I mean, this brings back memories. We call ourselves a country, a body of laws. That's what we say. We believe in laws. We follow our treaties, all this good stuff. But you know what? When Torrijos Carter signed that treaty, Panamanians should have always known one thing. Go speak to the Cherokee. Go speak to the Indians about the Black Hill Mountains, or the Black Hills, or the Black Mountain. I don't remember what it's called. As soon as these guys found gold, they got the American military to come in and kick out the natives and take back the land that by treaty they had rights to. I mean, treaty after treaty after treaty, we break. We are the ones who withdrew from the Paris Accords. We are the ones who withdrew from the Iran nuclear treaty. It wasn't the other way around. At some point in time, we are going to have to lead by example. At some point in time. But if Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, think that folks are going to stand by and watch him, as Howard mentioned before, the greatest grifter on the planet, jump into Panama and claim to take back this canal, he has something else in store. Because as opposed to how many of us were back in the 70s, back in the 80s, back in the 90s, where we just let things happen, that will never, ever happen again. So I hope you enjoyed that little story on Panama and what Trump and Trump's claim and what he won't be allowed to do. And you make sure and tell your Congress people, hey, we don't want another invasion as occurred in Panama in 1989, where we killed 10,000 Panamanians and looked exactly as it looks right now in Gaza, as we invaded El Chorrillo, Panama, and Colon, Panama. All right, let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. And by the way, folks, the phones are open 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Johnny, how are you doing, my brother?
One thing that Donald will have accomplished, if you want to call it an accomplishment, is causing his party to be renamed the Regressive Party. But before I point out something else about Donald Trump, I got a question for you. Refresh my memory. Was it John McCain who was born in Panama? Do I get that right?
Oh, yeah. John McCain was born in the exact same hospital I was born in. And it's called no, not kidding. Not kidding. We were born in the same hospital called Cocosolo Hospital. I was born in Cocosolo Hospital. John McCain was born in Cocosolo Hospital.
Cocosolo. Yes. It's so lyrical, so rhythmical. Makes a lot of sense. So
John McCain is a Panamanian.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
In other words, a world citizen. So there's another thing about Donald Trump that we need to remind ourselves about, to point out. Something that he says and or does and continues to do. And I was reminded of this on Saturday night. I happened to tune into NPR, and I heard a discussion between a reporter and the interviewer, and the NPR reporter correctly pointed out how Trump's win of the election was confusing to him. He couldn't understand what harm Donald Trump had suffered at the hands of this pollster. You know, in the light of his win, his first suing of media, ABC TV, to get $50 million for his museum or whatever the hell he's got going on there. What the reporter did not point out is that Donald Trump loves to complain and continues to complain that, he can't be sued civilly or criminally because he's the president and he's got responsibilities. He's too busy in the White House serving the American people. So if that's the case, if he's going to say he's too busy to be president, too busy to be sued, either by prosecutors or by private citizens while he's president, if that's the case, then he's too busy to be occupied with litigation suing the different media outlets. You can't have it both ways, Donnie.
I think you nailed it, but it's even deeper than that, Johnny. Johnny, it's deeper than that. And you nailed it the very first comment you made. You're claiming harm from the pollster when you actually won. I will actually say that pollster could go into court and say, because my pollster was wrong, probably forced Trump's team to further engage in Wisconsin, which likely gave him the win. Because a poll is just an instant in time. And it also just measures the likely voter. So therefore, there's a good chance that that poll, in as much as it was off by 13 points, what it really did is just change the likely voter model. That again, Trump, given that poll come out, that after that poll came out, the likely voter model changed. And how does the likely voter model change? Elon Musk throws a lot of money into Wisconsin. It's that simple. That poll may have helped Trump.
Hey, you know who he should sue? Why don't you sue Jasmine Crockett, Donald? Oh, did you see what she posted on her, I don't know if it's her X account or Twitter or whatever, but she posted a very realistic looking AI photograph of President-elect Musk sitting in a,
I saw that.
yeah, and Donald Trump is bowing at the foot of Elon Musk. It looks so real. Hey, why don't you sue him? Why don't you sue her? And then when you're done, sue me while you're at it.
Let me tell you, Donald Trump knows how to go. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sue people than do your job, because when you do your job, you ruin things.
Yeah. Donald Trump knows who to go after. I mean, Donald Trump is actually scared of somebody like Crockett because Crockett is a freelancer. She will go out there and she will do her thing. He doesn't go. I want you to take a look at things. He does not go after strong women. He is scared of strong women. He just stays clear of them because he knows they'll ridicule him and make him look small. So what he does is he goes with people he think won't fight back or people who can't
Like
fight back.
Melania.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
mean like Melania?
Yeah, yes, yes,
And what did
no
she do?
doubt.
Hand to it. You know, when they were walking in public, and she would flick her hand away,
Yeah,
and then she would put an olive green sweatshirt that said she didn't care with kids at the border. Those
yes.
people are sorry. They are a sorry bunch of people.
Well, you
Are
know
you,
what?
well,
Go ahead.
Breitbart, Mr. Breitbart, are you proud of these guys? You're part of your people, your tribe. Are you proud of them? Are you proud of what they're about to do in the next 4 years and the time and energy that we have to spend trying to deflect away from what they're trying to do? Are you proud of that? You voted for
Well,
that guy.
thank you very much, Johnny. I got a message for folks on as far as fear. There's no fear here. I mean, we have gotten over the pain of having elected a convicted felon. I've gotten over the pain of having America elect a person who abuses women and much more. And now I have resigned myself to. No, I shouldn't say resigned. I've resolved myself that we are simply
But
going to
we're not
do.
going
We are going
anywhere.
to. We are
We're
going to
not going
edge.
Brian. Brian, we're not going anywhere. We're not going to get off your lawn. You can cry and Egberto, why don't you go back? Why don't you go? Get out of here. No, you get out of here. Get off our lawn. Or help us. Why don't you do that?
They
Use your
will look.
intellect.
I have faith, Johnny. I have faith. I have faith because I think things will be. I don't want to say they'll get bad because we have to try to stop it from getting as bad as it can. But I think a lot of folks are going to be quiet to let us get the job done. In other words, here's what I really mean. A lot of people that won't ever confess that they understand they made a mistake will simply stay quiet as those of us who must get a job done to protect us all get the job done. They just won't say anything. They won't come out and say I was wrong. They just will leave the path open so that we can take care of business.
You
Rest
mean like my
rest in
Donald Trump in 2016?
yes. Yes. So we'll take care of that. But anyway, Johnny, I got some more calls I gotta take. So thank you, my brother. You have a great one. And by the way, folks, I am effective tomorrow. I have a whole lot of great interviews that I'm going to be playing. So tomorrow will be an interview, and going throughout till we come back will be some great interviews that I'm packaging. And I think you're going to really enjoy these. I did an interview that I'm going to play this week as well last night with Tim Danahy of the Tim Danahy Show. And I think you're going to enjoy what we have in store for the holiday week. So stay tuned. Let's go to Sister Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Oh, hi. Hi, Alberto. Let's
How you doing,
get real.
beautiful?
Oh, let's get real for the next few days. Howard, get your shopping done. You know, and this Christmas will be a lot of empty chairs, but inside they will still be here with me. Worship and celebrate. I will be putting something funny in my eggnog, and I will boogie bear, B-A-R-E. Don't want no peeping Tom Santa putting the catches on me. Read, Santa stands behind Jesus. Love y'all. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Thank you, beautiful. Love you, girlfriend. I love me some Betty. Betty always has a little thing that she makes sure and give us some, a good feeling. All right, brother Bart. And folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Brother Bart, come on in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Why did Carter give away this Panama Canal? This is one of the reasons that Carter goes down as the third worst president in the history of the United States.
Hmm.
And I wanted to know if you want to run down the list of the worst presidents, because I've got number one is Biden, number two is George W. Bush, number three is Carter, and number four is Barack Obama.
Wow.
And as far as Johnny goes, Northern Johnny, we don't care how you do it up north. If you want to do your northern things, go back to wherever, New York City, wherever it is. I don't know why you're here. If it's so great in New York, what are you doing here in Texas?
He's an American. You know what he's doing here, Bart? He's an American. You want me to tell you something, Bart? I love Texas. I love the people in Texas. I think the people in Texas are so nice. And you know what? I tell people that all of the time. Sometimes people ask me, "Why are you living in the South?" And I tell them, look. There's a certain cool hospitality out here. When we allow externalities to get involved with people, that's where you start to build the hate and all that good stuff. But I love Texas. Look, I'm talking to you right now. Uh, if I can get you away from some of your inner demons, I mean, you're a great guy. But I want to ask you something, however. What calculations did you use to come across worst president? But before you answer, I want to tell you that in my book, when it comes to the most moral president, the president that has done the most for humanity after leaving office, I give it to Carter. I love that man like no other president, bar none. I was a supporter of his stuff for building homes. I was a supporter of all the work he has done to help people. I've been a supporter of all the work he's done in Central America and all over to ensure democratic elections. This is a guy that didn't sit down and use his president. I use having been president to make money. This is a guy that went out there and did what Jesus said to do in the Bible. He's a darn good. I'm not a Christian. I'm a humanist, and I have so much respect for that man for what he went out there and do for humanity. One of the reasons you see the love that you see that this guy has around the world is not because of the the Torrijos Carter Treaty, which is something that he should get big merit for, but because he was just a human being. But I just wanted to give those kudos to Carter. Carter is in hospice right now, probably the longest person to have survived hospice. But why did you label those presidents in the order? And by the way, let me tell you that scholars currently have Donald Trump listed as the worst president ever. But why do you have those for those presidents as you listed them currently? Biden first, etc. What criteria did you use?
Well, Biden sold out America.
How did he do that again?
It's a fact. It's a fact. He sold out to China. He sold out to Ukraine. But I want to ask you, if you like Texas so much, why do you keep trying to change it?
You see,
You don't want socialist, communist stuff here in Texas.
Let me tell you something, brother, okay? Every single Texan that I know who cares about humanity believes the same thing I do. Ideology, however, is a difficult thing to break. People would go against your own interests because of ideology. Right now, your Texas legislature is screwing its people and getting its people killed. Okay? Right now, your Texas legislature has the option to give Texans health care that would cost nothing because we're already paying for it. Our Texas citizenry are already paying billions of dollars every year into the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. And because of ideological reasons, we prefer to let Texans die than to allow that to go through, even as it would only cost us 10% of whatever the cost is. That is evil. And I can go on and on with policy after policy. But my dear brother, what you do is you work on ideology and you try to let it fit your reality. I care about humanity and I let my ideology abide through that humanity. And what I have to tell you, my dear brother, try that sometime. I got to go to another call, but we'll talk next week when we come back live. Okay, brother? Peace.
I've got a
Let's go
lot
to
more.
Manuel.
What?
Manuel, come on in.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, hermano. ¿Cómo estás?
Hey, muy bien, papá, muy bien, muy bien. Dios te bendice. Hey,
Hey,
it's been a
tú
long.
tú eres panameño, hombre. Yo te puedo oír.
Sí. Yo te he llamado un par de veces en el pasado. Yo te he llamado. Yo te he estado escuchando todas las veces que yo
Okay, English,
pueda.
man. Okay, English now, brother. English. Just because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been listening to you all what I can. You know, I've been very busy with things and so forth. You know, and then you know, I had to go to Panama to bury my sister. You know, so I lost her a couple of months ago. So
My most sincere condolences, my brother.
yeah. Thank you, hermano. Thank you. But listen, this is what I wanted to tell you, and I wanted to say this to you and your program, your listeners, a long time ago. Listen, I'm a big believer in the Word of God. I'm a big believer in that. And I believe that God put presidents and take them down whenever he's ready. This Donald Trump situation, I did not vote for him. I believe he's a criminal. He's not a nice person. It's not coincidence. Everybody, you know, it swept the nation, the popular vote, all that good stuff. Okay. But the people forgetting one thing, to put their faith in God, not in man. And I believe that this country is about to take a big turn for the worse when this man sits in office. Everybody, you know, the majority of the country voted for this guy. The most popular, you know, he got it.
Let me just make a tiny correction, my dear brother. He got 49.7% of the vote, which means more people still voted against him. They just didn't vote. They just went third party because they didn't want Kamala Harris. So, in as much as he won the popular vote, yes, we're not going to take it away. And not only that, he won. You're absolutely right. He won. But let's not give him more credit than he's due. Most of the country said no to him.
Okay, and I received that. But I wanted to just let your audience know. Prepare yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you. By the way, my brother, I do agree with you that we are in for a turn, and I think it has already started to happen with things like BRICS that's starting to regain popularity, meaning the Russia, Brazil, China, and these other countries that are talking about a different currency. So I think you're right. But my brother, let's talk next week. I got to go to my lines are filling up and I'm running out of time. But I appreciate your call and viva Panama, hermano. he's not going to be able to do anything there. ¿Está bien, hermano?
Yes, definitely. Let me just say one thing, just 2
Yes.
seconds.
Yes.
It's all of those powerful Republicans came out and said this man is dangerous. They better prepare themselves, porque de que viene, it's coming, and it's coming hard.
I agree with you,
Gracias,
brother. Muchas gracias.
God
Tenga buen día. Está bien. Ciao. All right, let's go to Jim. Come on in, Jim.
John. Jim? Oh, it's me.
Jim, you're on.
Hello, hi. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'll be quick about this. Look, all I have to say about Johnny is that, honestly, to me, he just sounds like a very angry and spiteful person. Like, he just comes on your show and does nothing but talk bad, not just about Trump or any other Republican politicians, but, like, Republicans as a whole. Everybody like that. He speaks to us like we are the devil, like we are evil, and we're going to destroy America and things like that. When in reality, we're Americans too, and much like you, all we want is, for our country to be good for us and our families and
Jim,
things like that.
can I interrupt you here? First of all, let me just say that I hope out of the way I speak that you understand that I respect you as well, and that most of my angst is not on Republicans, the rank and file, but Republicans, the leadership, and what they've done. I always use here in Texas what the Texas legislature has done with the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, as many Texans are dying, and I think that's criminal. Now, as far as you're concerned, I can't possibly have any animosity towards you as a human being, towards you as a person, and in fact, uh, you know, eh, if you hear some of my commentary and some of the stuff, I wrote a book called "It's Worth It: How to Talk to Your Right Wing Relative, Friends, and Neighbor." And the idea wasn't to ridicule folks. The idea was, how do we understand? You're going to see that I interview people like Bryce Eddy, who is a devout MAGA guy, okay? And we are able to have a conversation. I disagree wholeheartedly with the brother, but what we did realize in the conversation, and you're going to hear that this week when I play it, if you're listening, I hope you do. We could find a lot of commonalities, but there are certain things that I think the leadership has really done wrong by. So now, when it comes to Johnny, I have to defend my brother. We have different ways of expression, right? And if you listen to right wing radio, what Johnny says sound tame the way that the right comes against liberals and progressives. That said, because what I am trying to do as a host is to make this platform available not to my brother Johnny, but also my brother Jim. I don't hide my ideology. I'm a left wing progressive guy. But at the same time, I consider you my brother. Do you get it?
Yeah, I get it. Like, I don't have any problems with you or anything. It's just my thing is, like, Johnny just gets so angry and things like that.
I'm going to ask you to do this, Jim. I'm going to ask you to do this for the future, right? I want you to listen to how Johnny speaks about Republicans. And believe me, me and Johnny have had this discussion. I know Johnny really means rank and file, Republican leadership, and he has some angst for people, for the regular guys, for letting them drag them along. But at the same time, go to Fox News and listen to how people like me, how they address folks like me, and see which one sounds more caustic. Do that for me, and then talk to me next week. All right?
Okay, well, I'll go. Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you too, brother Jim. All right, let's go to, let's go to Anonymous. I'm curious for Anonymous. Come on, Anonymous, real quick.
Hello, Egberto.
¿Cómo estás? Talk to me.
Benissimo. I don't know where to start. I was going to call in about the taking back of the Panama Canal,
Mm-hmm.
and then talking about Jimmy Carter. I thought that two of the things that he did that were very good, in part, was I thought leaving Nicaragua alone when the
Right.
Sandinistas
Hmm.
took over. And at that time, I met a woman who was of the oligarchy, I guess you could call it.
La oligarquía, yeah.
She had to leave Nicaragua in part because her son was threatened. And the thing is that we became good friends, and she would tell me that things were much better under the socialists or the Sandinistas, at least for the poor people. And
Listen,
she said that
Anas,
having been, yes, go ahead.
Anastasia Somoza was a very evil plutocrat, and they killed indiscriminately. And I had something to speak about billionaires today that I'm not going to get to, but that is the same fate that many of us will have if we leave these things here in America unabated. But close her up for me real quick, Anonymous, because I got three more calls I got to get in.
Well, all I want to say is that the only thing that disappointed me about Carter was that apparently he was having some covert operations that were contrary to his, public persona.
You're going to have to call me next week and tell me about that, because that's something that I don't know if we're thinking the same thing, but call me next week. Let's talk about it, okay?
I will have coffee with you, and I will give you the money for it.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. All right,
Bye.
let's go. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce. Real quick, I only have about 40 seconds for you.
I want to speak for a second about Teddy Roosevelt, and I'm aware of the Brownsville incident and some other mistakes he made. But Teddy Roosevelt, unlike Trump, fact-finded. He read books. When there was problems in the meatpacking industry, he sent his own people to go check it out and find out. They found out it was worse than in the book, The Jungle. He hated the oligarchs. There was brand new oligarchs made from the Industrial Revolution, and they were having lavish parties where they'd light their cigars with $50 bills. He detested them, and they knew when he was rising in New York that he was a danger to them. So they got him in the Republican Party to put him into the vice presidency, figuring they'd never hear from him again. And then to their horror, McKinley got assassinated.
Got killed, yeah. Sad. I should smile there, but yeah. But look, thank you for this, Bruce, and I think you nailed it. I got to get to Jeff, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce. Let's go to Jeff. Come on in, Jeff. Brother Jeff, you're on. Jeff, you're on. All right, Jeff, are you there? Going once? Going twice? All right, let's put Jeff on hold, and let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm going to try to get through two things real quick. Healthcare is free in Panama, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the women are required to bring their own sanitary needs?
Toilet paper, all that good stuff. Yeah. I mean, we are not a rich country at all.
Yeah, so how's that's actually free when the patient is required to be washed by their offsprings or loved ones? How is that?
Well, let me just say, you see, the culture is different, right? And that is something that I think you should understand. The culture is different. The services that cannot be provided by a family member or that person that with you, or if you are an indigent, you would have full support. But again, that's not, we are a more familial culture. Whereas over here you turn 18, you're thrown out of the house, or I'm exaggerating, of course, but we have a different culture, okay? And that culture is more familial inclusion. And yes, we'd have to take toilet paper and that sort of stuff, and that is because we don't have the resources that America has. It's that simple. Nothing magical about it. Anything else?
So the insurance for the offspring here in the United States, it's good until they're, 26 years old?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're not actually throwing the children out at the age of 18. So
No. Okay, first of all, for them to be insured up to 26, the parents have to support that. In other words, that isn't something that automatically occurs. That's not a it's a voluntary thing. If your parents want to include you on the policy, you can be included on a family policy at up to 26 years old. But it's not something that every family, and no family has to do it. A family can say you're 18, goodbye. We are not going to include you in the coverage. So that's the reality. Anything else?
So yeah, it's kind of communal, similar to what takes place in Panama, right?
No, it's not. Not even close. No, sir. Again, look, over here, I mean, and this is not an insult or something that I'm trying to throw shade or anything like that. The cultures are just different. One culture is more inclusive with family. One culture is more individualistic. America promotes an individualistic culture that I disagree with. Our family isn't individualistic. We live a very with friends and family. We are very, you know, we are very integrated, if you will. But again, that isn't the standard thing that we see here. And that's just a reality. It's just different cultures, neither bad or good, just different cultures. Anything else?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna hit on Johnny. If you don't like this country, Johnny, just move out. There's nothing in the Constitution that keeps you here.
And there's
Get
nothing,
out.
and but we can also tell you the same, Brian. Remember, the good thing about America is a democracy. So I can tell you, if you don't like the things that Johnny is doing to try to promote a better America, you can leave as well, right? The same message you're giving Johnny, Johnny can give you, right?
Yeah. But the difference is, I love my country.
I love
Johnny
my
hates.
country. I love the United States of America. Johnny loves the United States of America. And guess who else loved the United States of America? Brian also loved the United States of America. Do not do that. Do not assume that because they think differently than you do, that they don't love this country. Have a great day and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Brian. I'm gonna love talking to you in 2025. Take care, my brother. Let's go to the studio.
Nothing here. Take it home, Egberto. Got no more
Anyway,
time.
thank you, folks. Love you all. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and everything else in between. Have a great time, folks. When the family comes over, don't fight. Just discuss things civilly. My name is Don't forget, the rest of the story is at politicsandright.com/newsletter. Politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Reported in September on concerns from election officials on whether the U.S. Postal Service could meet